Hello and welcome everyone. And Sandeep and I am back again with another episode of Training Interrupted with AI. Like we know, training has really evolved from classroom sessions to e-learning, and now we live in an age of called AI-driven learning. So actually, Sandeep, this brings us to a very, very important question, and that is, are we truly reimagining training skills for the AI age?
Yes, Neha, thank you. And this episode of Training Interrupted with AI is definitely going to be interesting as we are again getting onto that buzzword, I think, with new dimensions AI age. Today, we are joined by two wonderful guests. We have Rohit Singh Chauhan, an IIT alumni and head of data science at Kylans, working at the forefront of Gen AI and data. He also runs Code Maths, where he simplifies coding and mathematics for learners. Rohit, great to have you with us for this show.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Neha. Thank you for having me.
We have Varun Bhutani, an IIT and IIM alumni with global experience across banking and startups and an AI course creator on Udemy. Varun also has his experience working with global international banks in Europe and Hong Kong to setting up and building startups within India, which is part of scaling mid sized organizations across Asia and USA. Varun, great to have you with us on this show. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Neha, back to the question. Are we truly reimagining training skills for the AI age?
I think for that, we'll need to go back to our guest for that. And I have my first question for Varun right there. So, Varun, you have a very diverse portfolio. You start from IIT, IM, and then you've also been in the financial sector. Now you're also working in the defense ecosystem. And parallelly, you also have an AI program that you run for students and enterprises. So, the first question that comes to my mind is that are most of us confusing AI literacy with AI knowledge?
That's a great question, Neha. So I think in the current scenario, it is also dependent on where you are coming in from. So if you talk about AI literacy, that would be learning about Chat GPT or using certain prompt engineering or doing some courses. But at the same time, knowledge would be wherein not only do you understand where it is coming in from, because that will give you the ability to be able to predict where, what particular tools you should apply, and that will come as a natural consequence of your knowledge. The second part, I think, which is also changing is around, like, if I've been teaching this AI course at schools, right? And if you have kids who are already getting access to 6th standard, 7th standard kids who are already getting access to AI tools, they start looking at AI as a partner rather than just another machine. And I think that is where the core difference between knowledge and learning lies. So I think that change is coming on in the society, but that's a great question, and I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Varun. And this is a thought that comes to our mind a lot of times, right? When we're dealing with Gen AI tools, and especially when they're getting built in home in India. So, are they actually closing the real gap, or they're just layers that have been built up on the existing platforms that are already there in the market, or you would call it its real innovation?
Yeah, I mean, so there are a lot of Gen AI tools out there. Uh, Mostly building a user management system which focuses on the revision aspect, which focuses on people's mental well-being. That is something that we are trying to build. And if you kind of encapsulate the entire learning platform in such a way that people are able to uh, understand something deeply and actually not just pass it on, like, not just do it and forget it. Like, that is something that we are focusing a lot on, because with Gen Alpha and even Gen Z, like, I think the access to information is so high, which we didn't have in our college days, that people tend to do something and then forget about it. So being able to keep something in your mind for a longer period of time, that is something that we are trying to do at this point of time.
Rohit just mentioned something that he's creating a platform so that the learning penetration goes much more deeper and it's more effective for the students in today's time. But I remember watching on one of your modules that you spoke about that how if robos were used as trainers in classrooms, it is more effective learning vis-a-vis to human learning. So do you want to talk about that?
So it wasn't vis-a-vis to human learning, it was more vis-a-vis to probably a Udemy course or something which is getting played without any human intervention. And if you compare that to placing a robot in the class, students kind of identify with it. And there are, I think, so what happens is because it kind of grabs the attention of the students, and therefore they learn in a deeper way, so to say.
Rohit, and I think this question is to both of you, and you could just pick up. Are we entering an era and a time where cobots are going to collaborate with Gen AI and there will be real time learning content getting generated? I'll also like to add that, a few days ago, I think in Dubai, one of the malls, there was actually a real time robo who was sent out as a shopper, just map the shopping journey, or sorry, to map a customer's journey. So, and there were times when we had to reach out to our, clients, and Sandeep will agree when I say that, for scenario-based training content. So I guess that seems to kind of diminish by itself. Yeah, so is Cobos and Gen AI going to collaborate, and then we're going to just have real-time content generation also?
So robots generally work in a constrained environment, as far as I know. They are programmed in such a way that they have the environment set out for them at this point of time. They have the perception layer, wherein they understand, okay, this is something that exists in in their environment. Then they need to make a decision, and then they need to act on it. So there are three steps to it. All right. Where Gen AI can come into play is kind of, so if you go into the multi-agentic architecture, right? So you have a particular problem. There's the orchestrator, and then there are different agents doing things based on what the orchestrator asks them to do. So maybe Gen AI can have that effect, but can it do that right now? I'm not very sure. Like how long it will take for robots to effectively use Gen AI, because Gen AI at this point of time can definitely help them, understand the environment better, understand the instructions given to them in different languages. So that is something that Gen AI can definitely help them with. But with regards to decision making, the accuracy is definitely something that needs to be looked on.
So, Varun, what would you say should be the role of a trainer or a teacher in a classroom right now? If we have cobots, we have robots who are actually coming in and helping us to, learn all the critical information. So, is the focus going to be more on analytical learning, on judgmental learning, kind of a thing, or more on behavioral skills that's going to come into play with the existing ecosystem?
So I think this is going back to the first answer and to the first question. I think we, at a fundamental level, at a society level, we need to start seeing AI as a partner rather than as a tool. I think that thinking needs to change at a very core level, because there are certain things that AI can do which probably can do better than probably what a human can do better, and vice versa. So you got to figure out, and this is true even in the case of a teaching scenario, wherein there are certain aspects of the responsibility. So if the teacher has to do, say, for example, certain research or certain in-depth research, or has to analyze the assignments in a particular way and give more custom feedback, it can take the results from that particular the AI tool, and use those results and then deliver it. But to say that will 100% replacement happen? No, I don't think so. Because I think there is this concept of tech being good, specifically in human-based interactions where it is invisible. I'm not talking about, say, critical scenarios like medicine or defense, but ideally tech should be, if tech is invisible, then it's considered to be better. So keeping that in mind, I feel it's going to be a mix, but at the same time, I think it's certainly going to have a massive impact on what you're delivering to the learner. Of course, we are not getting into personalized agents right now, and we can have a discussion around that as well, but that is the next step as far as AI is concerned. But so it's a combination of what works best for what scenario.
So, Varun and Rohit, I just wanted to connect what you have both shared. So there's something which I came across while I was reading something about auto research, which definitely is an interesting thing. I don't know if you have come across. So, it is something where uh, a student, okay, from Austin. So he created a system to teach simulated students an advanced placement of math or mathematics. And he trained almost 100,000 fake students for 2 weeks and used them to build the best AP prep system in the world. So what I want to highlight is how the Gen AI by the Gen Z is being used to go ahead and create something which I think we didn't have that technology or that access, because whatever is taught to us was taught, and that is the truth. The same way now, it is more that they can go explore what is got to them or brought to them, right? So it is more like a matter of time, I think, where we can also see more versions of such context coming through. So this auto research is really something which I could relate, where people were using this for digital marketing, where they had these millions of phones or devices just clocking the numbers, reviews or views. I think now it is really shocking to see that this something is being even worked out for generating content or for test prep systems. And as they say, the scores, they have some numbers here. Like the first batch scored 45th percentile at the initial phase, and after 2 weeks after this training, they got 80th percentile. So you can see the huge difference. So I think technology is available, and how and when is something which an explorer can explore, right? So just my 2 cents to this topic and what we are discussing here.
So I think I have another flip side to the story, and please correct me if I'm wrong. There were times when we could actually sit down and do a mental math, right? And there was an era where we didn't really need to use calculators. Now everything is dependent on AI, starting writing from even writing an email or a WhatsApp message or an SMS for that matter as well, right? The question is that is it actually going to impact the cognitive load and the memory of people at the moment with the dependency on AI?
I definitely am a big proponent of the fact that AI will, like, over usage of AI can, and I think everyone can see that happening with them as well. Over usage of AI for any particular topic can dampen your cognitive ability, because you need to make neural connections inside your brain, and our mind essentially works on fight or flight responses. Like, if it thinks that something is essential for it to survive, only then it starts learning. And that's why revision is a very key concept. It's given out to you for, for much less work, or without too much effort, then that entire concept of, okay, do I actually to learn it, kind of goes away, right? So I don't know, maybe like getting a deeper understanding of something, and whether you will actually be able to understand a topic and do research on it, that is something that needs to be seen. But yeah, I mean, that is something that platforms need to design going in the future, so that people actually people actually understand things and become experts at it, instead of just using AI for everything and then not learning anything.
And Varun, do you think there has to be a point in time when one has to draw the line of the usage of AI and should say, okay, this is it, and this is where I should actually go back and start also working on my cognitive?
So, I think before I answer that question, I think Sandeep had raised that point about this particular company. Now, I think what needs to be also seen, and a lot of studies do come out, and I'm not questioning the authenticity of the data, but I think what we also need to realize is if it's about how much time did the students actually spend in that preparation. We are talking going from 45 percentile to 80 percentile, but since it was part of a study, were students already engaged? Were they giving attention? And so that's the whole thing, which I think Rohit is also trying to point out. I think going into the depth of the so probably with maybe that skill is not required, right?
Yeah, that's something that I also think a lot. Like, do you even need to be experts anymore?
Yeah, and it's a little bit, so that's something that we just need to kind of think through. But at the same time, I think we are humans, Neha, and answering your question, how much is enough? I think ideal case, we should go back to the cave years because that was a very good life. Just had to get some food and we had to move around and there were no tensions. That's one way of looking at it, right? Like from an existential perspective. But at the same time, how much are you willing to put in the effort and how much growth do you want and how much money do we want to make as a society? How much, how many mines are we going to kind of mine because we need more precious metals to manufacture these AI chips? And that's a great way to identify certain investment criteria. I think you
Yeah.
can identify the 5 elements and start investing in those stocks, and you can make a lot of money over the next 2 years because of the growth of AI. So, how much is enough? I don't know. That's a very human question to ask. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, in fact, interestingly, just a month ago, I had a client way in the healthcare sector, and they wanted to create micro learning modules. And they came to us to say, "Can you just make it simple? We don't want any AR, no VR, no Gen AI." And my question was, why would you even ask for that? And they introduced me to the entire studio of AR, VR. And the answer was that people are getting so engaged in the technology, in the tech space, that they're actually not absorbing or consuming the real time content. I think that's the point where we also have to start asking ourselves that how much technology is required and extent it is required.
Very valid point and a very great example. Thank you for sharing.
Right. So the engagement, and I've not, and this is actually we're talking about a country like Dubai who is absolutely high in the tech space, and they want to do everything first and all of it and more. And they just completely ruled out the idea of using any VR content. And in fact, they said, "Sorry, no AI. Can you just come and film with our people?" So, at stage.
I think
I think
education.
experiments will happen. It's an interesting field, and I think mistakes will be made, like it is for any tech. I think the generation which is growing up with tech, right? Like, I got to see mobile phones for the first time coming in India, and then I've seen the whole journey till where we are. So I think that's going to probably be the difference with the next generation. Somebody who's currently born, maybe 20 years from now, will probably the world will be a different place altogether.
Yes, well, as Neha was quoting, yeah, so definitely it is subjective again, if you ask me. If you are trying to use in healthcare sector where they're always on the run to go ahead and cater to a patient, whereas the same thing, the same technology of virtual reality is really something which people want in the real estate sector because they want to see the visual and they want to enjoy how their property looks like or they want to experience it, and sometimes even it's more like they want to take it home because they want to just boast about what property they have invested in to their friends or family, right? So I think even that is subjective, but yeah, technology, if we see since ages, it has always been what I put, like again, Varun, what he was saying, like, so AI is also again a buddy to us or a collaborator, right? So the technology has always been transforming, but again, yeah, the cognitive load or how much is our cognitive ability at risk because we are trying to go ahead and rely much on technology. As I was just giving you that example of the auto research, what we found there is those 100,000 students are again AI bots which they try to train. So maybe the extract of that is what content works for people, but again, it is very hypothetical because it is done or experimented on AI bots. It's not on the real people. It is totally, again, do not know if that is the same result if tested on students, right? So, but I think what is happening there is we are able to perceive what will or might work, so that can be done only after the real test is done. Once whatever, because Rohit is already there engaging with the students, so he trained, and in a class of 10 or 20 you don't find everybody with the same ability,
Yeah.
right? So that's where we need to train, we adopt to the methods in teaching itself in a different way so that people consume. And me or my company, we work more with enterprise or mid-level enterprise corporate companies. So when we talk about generic trainings, we have it all like a bunch rolled out to everybody who joins, for example an program. But how do you go and understand that they really understood what a company is or what we are trying to convey through our program? So maybe there are certain reports generated through learning management system which might support to an extent, and also where the behavioral patterns or the skill patterns are retrieved using those analytics which are pulled, and maybe that is where again the skill support systems come into place. So what I wanted to share is everything what tech generates is subjective. That's what is coming from my past experience or even current experience, which I'm working with different organizations and people, because I also engage with students where we try to train on AI, and few of them are really extra excited to learn what AI is bringing, and few of them are like, okay, this is another session as part of their regular day. Yeah, so that's where I wanted to bring the concept of subjectiveness. And thank you, Varun and Rohit, for putting across. Thank you.
So can I raise a question for all three guys and flip the tables here?
Yeah,
So
sure.
it's I think you guys are all working in education and building great stuff, and specifically, I think Rohit, of course, he told me, and Neha as well, and Sandeep. So, do you have views on the dynamic learning with the feedback mechanism and also the personalization of because say if my learning speed is slow right now, the system should be able to kind of understand that hey, I'm not right now at my peak and should probably adjust the assignments to gain my interest back. Are you guys working with things like that already?
Yeah, so the platform that we are building, I mean, it's still in the development stage, but the design that we have built has components where it takes into account the how much you're forgetting as per the Ebbinghaus learning curve. It takes into account how different people, like very intellectual people, like Nobel laureates like Marie Curie, or uh, there's a physicist, Richard Feynman. So, like how these people used to teach, and based on also how I have learned, like how I actually like how the best professors in those universities taught us. As in, when you actually teach someone, then you get to understand the most about what you have learned. All these things we have kind of incorporated into the management system that we are building. Revision definitely is a very key concept. And there is, instead of just personalization, there is also a hyper personalization layer. As in, we just don't focus on a particular student, but also on the class as a whole. And the teacher is also kept aware of the entire class at all points of time through the learning management system, and then rate them based on the Bloom taxonomy, and then see which student is at what point of time, make a personalized learning path as to how he or she should start learning a particular topic. Because suppose you are learning something absolutely new, then many a times, and this is where Gen AI can definitely help you. Many a times you don't know which is the right path to follow, and I think a lot of education companies definitely help you there, because they guide you through the process. Learning is definitely something which is very personal. You never know, like it's you who will have to learn at the end of the day. But the guidance is what the edtech companies are the most good at, right? So that guidance is definitely that. Varun, I can also show you that LMS that I have built. I think it's
So that's why I was probably trying to jump in. Apologies. But are you also going to the level of, like, say, for example, if a student is not in the mood right now to study
I
maths?
will, yeah. So I have, like, one of the engines that I have built is the listening engine that takes into account your mental well-being at a particular point in time. So I used to go to the gym a lot in my 20s, and I learned that, like, there was this guy who is Ritik Roshan's personal trainer. Like, he used to say that, whenever you go to the gym, you should get in touch with your emotions all the time, so that next day if you start feeling low, you will know, okay, I felt low, I didn't train well enough because I was feeling low, so it's fine. It's something of like a therapy, right? So that's the LMS also takes into account that particular thing as well. Like, are you anxious today? Are you a little depressed today? Which is something that will come a lot in future. And
Yes.
you there's also the concept, I think it's called bibliotherapy or something. So you write down everything that you're facing right now, and the engine will start understanding that, and based on that it will make a personalized approach to the plan for
So
you.
going further deeper in, so I think there are two ways to look at this. Okay, so one is of course you're asking the student, and the student is giving the answers, or the learner or the person. But there you are trusting that the person knows what they're going through. The second is when they're taking the course, analyzing their speed, analyzing the correctness of their questions. Your system kind of understands that, hey, this person is right now, the performance is dropping from the average level. So probably the person needs a change of subject or things like that.
But I was also talking about the fact that, you kind of write down everything what you're feeling at the beginning of the day. So in your planning stage, you write down everything. Okay, I'm not feeling very good today. Just
Oh,
blurt it out, you know. Like, I don't know, like, if you have read about cognitive behavioral therapy, but cognitive behavioral therapy essentially asks you to write down each of your thoughts so that you like the monkeys in your head can cool down, and then you
Absolutely.
actually are able to focus. So that was
It's
the
like
aspect
writing a
that I was,
diary.
yeah. So dear diary thing.
Yeah.
So that is something that definitely is something that we will focus a lot on, I think.
thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for
Going
that.
forward, I
Yeah.
think all the the newer generation, and I'm not being melodramatic, but I think the mental health aspect will definitely be a key area where people should focus on in their learning platforms, because
True.
that's how you hyper personalize something, right? I'm pretty
Perfect.
sure every student is good. It's just that the situation that they're going through, they are able to perform well or not, whether they're able to control their emotions. So
So let me again utilize the group's brains for answering a personal question which I'm facing. So when I take this Udemy course, I think I'd offered it as a leadership sort of a course as well, where we were trying to kind of fundamentally change how the leadership of a particular company looks at AI and then developing a course for that. And I think the way I kind of approached the problem was one was, of course, to go the AI way and kind of build solutions using AI. But the second was, helping them work through the problem. But the problem would be chosen by the leaders themselves. So we kind of provide a framework and we help them kind of go through it. But and this I think before the call also, Neha, you and I, we were discussing as to whether a particular course can be completely, I think I'm forgetting the term you used, can be kind of standardized where a personal kind of analysis is not required for the answers that are being submitted. Yeah. So how do I kind of implement SCORM in a particular case where you are kind of teaching fundamentals of AI at an age of about 50 plus is at a senior. So it's a very targeted.
So all you need to spend in a day is 2 hours to learn the whatever you have to. So the same thing, the hyper personalization is something where again it is as per their cognitive ability, the learning paths are designed, and as per that their scores and everything and where they lack, and then there is personalized trainings for them. So that is again as we have the differentiation between pedagogy and andragogy, right? So now when we are talking about adults, so when we go ahead and build some content for enterprise, for example, an AI course, which we already have something going on in the market. So when we go ahead and initiate with something like a SCORM, for example, if it can be a self-paced content rather than in-person training, what we do is we go ahead and create certain questionnaire at the initial or the starting phase of the course, so that we already understand the demographics of whoever is participating, which helps in two ways. One is for the trainer or the tutor, if in case it's a blended learning, to understand what is the constituency or what is the group or the particular cohort consisting of, where they need to start, where they need to take them or travel through this particular course or cohort. So that is how it helps them, and also each of them, they understand where do they stand, because at the end of the course or whatever the cohort, they again have an assessment to see where they were and where they are at the end of the course. So that already helps them to assess, and definitely everybody might not score the best or equal, right? So that is again depends upon each other's cognitive ability. But during the course, the trainer or our system, which we are creating the learning path, will help them to pick as per their learning pace or their cognitive ability. That can be done, and that is the customization which we do when we are working on LMSs. That is where we bring LXPs into place, the learning experience platforms, as on date. Hope that answers your question, Varun, or was that helpful?
A little bit. Thank you.
I really like the conversation, which the way it was going. Yeah, wonderful.
my personal theory is that people should focus more on expertise, and the person who will do the boring stuff will go ahead. This was true earlier as well, but with machines, machines taking over a lot of the simpler tasks, barrier to entry will get higher in a particular job, which is the end goal of any. Otherwise, like, don't study probably. And
Yeah.
I really, I mean, I'm being serious. Like, I think probably take up agriculture, which is something which humans can't do without. And I'm very bullish about it, Frank. Like, it might seem a little off the topic, but yeah, I mean, either learn the stuff which AI can't do, but and if you are going in the cognitive ability part, then try to become an expert to prolong your career.
Okay. Rohit, very specifically to learning, where do you think, how Gen AI is going to grow? Where do we see it? Right now we are dependent on tools to create content. And a lot of times, the challenge is that the content is also not getting translated to accuracy. But I'm guessing that would be just a small challenge. It's a very small
I mean,
hiccup.
so yeah, see, it's only been what, 2.5 years up to this point since this all came up.
Yes.
And sometimes, like, if we look back, like 2020, you didn't have any of these things, right? Or even
Yeah.
2021, 2022.
Yeah.
So the pace is exceptional.
Exponential.
Yeah, I mean, so 5 years down the line is something probably we can't even predict. I don't know. Can the multi-agentic systems actually build something which converges towards AGI?
Yeah.
And how much will that have an effect on the employability of people, especially people like us? Not like us, but freshers especially. So that's why I really think that expertise is still concepts, which is something that I focus a lot on in my YouTube channel as well. Like, really do learn math, because as far as I know, the generation aspect that you're talking about, like 1 year ago, all the LLMs or all the video generation could not figure out the physics of things, but now they are able to do that. So can machines actually learn math? I'm a little skeptical if they can do that. So probably, like, deep research topics is something that people should focus on. And frankly, like, education will become really hard going forward, I think. Like, you
Yes,
can't just,
right.
it's not a free lunch anymore, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think deep research, as you're saying, so though ChatGPT has that option that you can go for deep research, I think
I mean, so that's a different thing. Like, it's more about getting more context and then answering the question. But deep
that's right.
research, as in, like, coming up with something innovative, is what I'm more talking about more.
Yeah, I'm just taking that instance. But yeah, as you said, we need to explore more what machines can't do immediately as of now as we talk. But yeah, we don't know because at the rate which the things are changing, as you took an example, and like 6 months ago, the video generation or the content generation wasn't able to do something. But now, as we are going ahead and doing, the main issue which we had personally was when we are working on consistency. So we can create avatars, we can create the motion and everything, but the moment we change the screen, everything is changing. But today, as we talk, it is fixed. So definitely, yeah, it is changing. But as you said,
I think that's the
being an
attention problem.
expert.
So you're referring to the attention problem, right? So attention problem
Yes.
can definitely be solved. I'm not too concerned about the attention problem or the actual context, the catastrophic forgetting, or the tail end context. I think that will definitely be solved. I'm talking more about the actual intuition building, or getting, like, actual innovative things is something that AI, I think,
Yes.
will have a difficult time doing. So
Yeah, innovation because that is where we always term it as generative content or generative aspect, not an innovative aspect. And for now, it is still with humans.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really feel it's that doomed. Like, yeah, it's that black. It's. I think finally AI is for humans, and I think yes, there will be an upheaval, like there is at the change of any technology. It is an era changing. The speed is here, but we as a human race, I think we are quite resilient, and we will figure it out. The new generation will probably grow with it, so it will probably find out newer ways which we haven't even thought about because those challenges haven't come up. But having said that, to at least in the short to medium term, when the change is happening, it is going to be it is going to affect a lot of people, sometimes in a
Yes.
negative way. But there will be positives around it. I think AI for good is real. An example is the medicine field or even the defense field, both in terms of attacking as well as defending capabilities. And medicine, of course, everybody knows the impact AI has made. So I think we need to focus more on, let the cobots focus on the what, and we should focus on so what. And I think AI is going to tell us the how, but the why and the will behind it, I think that's just a machine. So we need to see it as a partner while we are working with it, but at the same time, I think the future is bright and we will solve more problems than we'll create.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
So it's better to be negative, right? Like, because I think then you get ready once you're ready for the worst, but at the same time, we shouldn't leave hope the hope. Motivational factors are very different, Sandeep. At the end of the day, we are finishing off this session. We are all wanting to go back to our families. We have certain other things to do, and it's not AI that we are going back.
Definitely.
So I think the reality of it, the life of it, I think we need to account for that. Yeah, there is a philosophical angle. We'll not get into it, otherwise we'll start discussing Dostoevsky and Albert.
No, we'll have another session on that one. Yeah. If
Yeah.
it is philosophy.
No, I think AI is deeply philosophical, but I think that's outside the purview of the scope of this webinar. So we'll let it be.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we can explore still, Varun. Yeah. So I think that brings wrapping it up. Like if AI becomes the brain of learning systems and robotics becomes the execution layer of the workplace, as Varun was mentioning, cobots take care of the what and humans take care of the why, right? Or
Or
cobots
the
the how
so.
and we the why. Yeah. So, what will remain uniquely to human in how we learn and teach is definitely something we will leave to the audience after all these wonderful discussions which we have, and much more to come. And within this time, I think this is what which we can do. And keep listening, keep watching to our upcoming podcast. And Varun and Rohit, so the platforms on which you are teaching or you are sharing the amazing knowledge which you have will be also part of this. So I recommend the listeners and those who are watching, please go watch that platforms to understand how AI is being used as a partner and how we can evolve into the next step because we are with Gen Z now as Gen Alpha is already getting ready. Yes, so that's what happens at LXD Guild. Learning never stops. So until next episode, keep watching for what is happening on this platform. Until next time, thank you and have a wonderful time.
Thank you, Neha.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Sandeep.
much.
See
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.